our logo is, our family protecting yours, and we really take that to heart. Cool. We got, we all have kids, and
by the way, this is truly a family business. I mean, just walking around today and getting to meet everyone. I mean, just the vibe and the culture that you have here. I mean, I know it's a generational business, but even just the relationships a lot of you have, I mean, you can just feel it in this office.
Welcome back to another edition of Push to Talk. My name's Eric Smith. I'm here with the Queen Bee from Motorola, Sharon Hong. I know I've said that twice today. A very, very important person, I should say. Thank you for coming here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit of ecosystem, solving for safer Motorola. But first, let's get a little background about yourself. Where are you from? How did you become a VP of safety ecosystem, video surveillance, access,
video security and access control, sales engineering,
and
technical evangelists,
there
and
you
sales
go.
enablement.
I can't. I'm glad you can say that. That would take up half of my 30-second elevator pitch.
Basically, the jobs I get are the ones where they say, it'd be really nice if we could ... And then who could help us ... And then they go, and then those are the jobs I get. That's pretty much
just
the story of my life.
Go problem solve.
Go figure it out. Yeah.
Electrical engineering, computer science.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background.
So, born and raised Southern California. Come from a long line of engineers. My dad's an engineer. 2 uncles are engineers. My dad has a whole wall of patents in our house, next to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So just a giant wall, and he's very proud of that. So I grew up very much in an engineering family, and my dad was a big influence on my life. And so when I went to UCLA, I applied, and it was between majoring in English, which was my first love, and engineering, which was, I could probably do that. It'd be the more difficult thing.
Yeah.
Went to UCLA, majored in EE and computer engineering as a minor.
Awesome.
And then, and I always say, though, that Motorola saved me, because around my junior year, I was thinking, where's this going to lead me? Because am I just going to design a microchip that goes into a printer that becomes obsolete in 3 months? What am I going to, where's the meaning behind the jobs? And that's when, that year at the job fair, I saw Motorola. I went up, and I think by that time, I had gone to probably 12 or all the different booths, and everyone's like, "We'll take your resume." And I was just looking for an internship. Finally, I get
please.
Well, I went up to the guy in the booth, and I just said, "Just level with me. What's it take to get an internship around here?" And it turned out he was a hiring manager. It just so happened. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, then what do you guys do?" And that's when I actually learned that designing radio systems for public safety was a job. That you could do something like that. So that's actually how I ended up getting an internship. And what I loved about the role is that it was kind of like a sales engineering role. The role was to work with public safety and discuss technical concepts in a non-technical way.
Yeah.
And a lot of public speaking, and that's a lot of the kind of things I'd done in high school. So that's why I say it saved me, because it allowed me to leverage things that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
I became an intern at Motorola, and I've pretty much been at Motorola ever since.
The rest is history. So how did you find your way to the video side of things and in the access side?
So, I spent probably my first 10 years in public safety radio communications out in the field. And then I moved into the channel, actually, became the CAM for California and Hawaii for Motorola.
Nice, yeah.
So if there's any partners from out there, hi. But that's when I learned about the channel and how important PCR is to our business outside of, public safety, and how important our channel partners are to helping us, continue our business outside of public safety.
Yeah.
But the way I ended up in video actually was in 2018. I'm born and raised Southern California, living in San Diego, young mom of 2 kids, going to live in San Diego for the rest of my life. And then I had the opportunity in 2018 to interview to be the chief of staff to the head of worldwide sales, Jack Malloy.
Yep.
And it's not an opportunity that comes every day, but I'd have to move to Chicago for that. Got the job, moved from San Diego to Chicago in 2018. That's how committed I am to the company.
You are very committed. That's a big move, especially with young kids as well.
Yeah, and so we moved to Chicago, and it was actually at that time that I was working for Jack that Avigilon joined Motorola. And that was actually my first introduction to video and to the executive leadership at Avigilon and getting to know that team. And so as I continued in that role, the opportunity actually to lead Safety Reimagined came up. And at that point, it was the one job that I said, hey, if there's anything that ever becomes a job that I would love to do, that's the job I would love to do. Just given my background in engineering and pre-sale and the channel on the PCR side, now on the video side, and just really knowing a lot of people over all that time. And that's really, at the end of the day, I always say technology is easy. It's the people that can be the difficult part, right? Getting the people organized to go do that. And so that's kind of how we met, right? As I started doing the ecosystem stuff. And then it got to a point where we had evangelized Safety Reimagined with the ecosystem on the PCR side successfully. It became, okay, now we got to go do that on the video side.
Right.
So I went over to the video side. First to start to do the ecosystem thing. And then next thing you know was, hey, well, while you're at it, let's kind of go full circle and you can get video sales engineering back under you since you've done it before.
Right.
And so now I'm sort of back to my engineering roots, which has been a lot of fun.
Which is amazing. So you kind of hinted or, said this, there was kind of a great shift and kind of talked about it in another episode we shot today on the cloud system side, right? The phone side. Mm-hmm. And in 19, we definitely had COVID. And there was this huge shift that happened, not only with Motorola, the whole technology, industry. And we saw the shift in our business as well, too, for the good, right? For the great of our customers. And Motorola had started to, they kind of figured out, hey, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel on some of these products, what if we took an Avigilon and pulled them in-house, right, and acquire them? And then it was OpenPath, which is a door access control company. And then it was
Ava,
cloud-based, Pelco.
Yep.
And you guys
Specialty
started
cameras.
Yep. And you guys started pulling in all these specialty products, and you guys have created this massive ecosystem called Solving for Safer, and it's changed our business. It really has changed our business, and we're a completely different company than we were back in 2019, even in 2013, right, when the Motorola kind of split from the cell phone and the public safety side. Why Solving for Safer? Let our customers know, what was kind of Motorola's MO behind all that? Where do they see the safety and security market going? Why are you guys acquiring so many businesses right now?
Well, it's funny. I think you know the answer because I joke sometimes when I first met you, I was amazed that Beck Tech was ahead of the game. I mean, you were already doing Safety Reimagined even before it became a thing for us. I mean, you saw it in your business as well, moving into video. Because I think for us, Safety Reimagined really started in 2020. And you talk about 2019, and you were already doing that. But it's absolutely true. I mean, when I was a systems engineer on the radio side for public safety, I also spent a lot of time in command centers. And you would see it. You saw the products evolve. It first was all about dispatch and about computer-aided dispatch, records management, and all that. But soon you started seeing video walls showing up. In fact, I remember before I moved into PCR, and I was still on the state and local side, we started talking about video walls. Like everybody was buying a video wall, And so the evolution of what public safety needed, which I think also translates and flows into professional security, right? Because a lot of security professionals are former law enforcement. And you start seeing that, hey, video, software, they become additive and part of the workflow that security professionals or public safety needs to keep people safe. And, our motto for the longest time was helping people be their best in the moments that matter. And I think that particular motto is really interesting because there is a bit of a reactive component to it, right? Like you're in the moment and there's a moment of urgency that requires you to act, but you're still reacting to something. But that is what the radio business typically is, right? Radios are there to help you react quickly to something rather than waiting too long to do that.
Right.
But now when you bring in other parts of, the other parts of the ecosystem that we have, these other products like video and software, analytics being a huge one. Now all of a sudden we're talking about taking a more proactive step, leveraging the analytics in video and being able to say, okay, video and access control in itself has its own following. Like there are two types of security, schools of thought.
Yeah.
One is how do you react as quickly as you can? Those are people who've been in the radio business for a long time.
Yep.
And the folks who've been in the video and access control world for a long time, it's how do you keep things from happening in the first place? Keep people out or get it on video what actually happened. And you bring those two together, and it's a big reason why we've acquired very specifically and very strategically video access control, sensors, software solutions, other ways of communication, so broadband push to talk, whatnot, cybersecurity, right? It's all about being able to take all the things that we know are in the workflow, bring them all together, and now we're moving away from helping people be the best in their moments that matter and having that just be a piece of everything that we do, to solving for safer, right, which is a much broader view of what we can bring to the table.
Because the last thing we want to be is stagnant, and we always want to be evolving, right? And that's kind of where me and Britt were in our business with our customers is, we got to a point at one point in time that we provided a solution, and it wasn't what the customer thought it was going to be, right? And it was kind of.
You want to expand on that? Like when you say that, what does that mean, though?
Well, there's a lot of product that is out there, but there's a lot of product that does not integrate together very well. And so we had a school district that, we thought we were given this grand plan and, everything's designed correctly and everything's going to be great. And, we thought, expectations were, we met expectations and come to find out towards the end of the project, it was like, oh, my cameras can't talk to my doors and my doors can't talk to my cameras. And, if someone walks through that door, I can't pop up the video. And it became a really kind of an aha moment for Beck Tech and me and Britt saying there's got to be something better out there.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something that can integrate some of these products better, right? Even from a software standpoint. And so we kind of saw it from our customer perspective of, these people have radios, these people have, mid-tier cameras, no AI, and then these people have, access, or they have parts and pieces, disparate systems. And so what we love about Motorola and actually being a badge partner, of the ecosystem is that now we can offer this whole ecosystem of products that's converged together, that's redlined together, that I can take, my video cameras and the AI that I can search from a people search, where it's appearance search.
Yep.
Maybe it's a license plate, reader, a camera, that type of thing, and I can pop up an alert on my radio.
Yep.
Whether it's an Ion, R7, whatever it may be, I can have a text message come through my radio. I could also have it come through an email, right? We can have an actual text message to our phone. And then we can also, we could trigger other alerts to other systems through Orchestrate and tie everything together. And I don't have to worry about, do I have to go pay for this integration? And I think that's been a huge success for us, but also for Motorola. And we've seen that since, you said 2020, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are constantly evolving and constantly you're acquiring more and more companies every day. I think you've invested $12+ billion. That number just went up as of yesterday, right? There's another company that you guys just acquired. We may not see that company, for another 6 months to a year, what they're actually offering from our side, but we want to be partnered with the best. And I believe with Motorola's track record, 100 plus years now, that you are the best.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go outside of that. So.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, our paths have been in particular with Beck Tech, right? As far as what you're seeing with your customers and what we're seeing, I mean, the paths have been so parallel,
Right.
and you and I have talked about and exchanged stories. And, I think even back 5 years ago when I first started, and it was called Safety Reimagined, right? And then now it's since been sunset, and now we're solving for safer. But I'm curious. I mean, I know when I first started out in 2020, it's almost like there's been 3 phases so far. Phase number 1 was just getting people
to do it,
familiar
right?
with this idea of an ecosystem. Everyone's like, what is an ecosystem? What does that mean? To phase 2, which I feel like we're just coming out of, which is being able to get people to understand how products can interact together to solve your problems, right? Like, hey, if I were able to have the alerts come up on your radios, how would that help you solve specific problems? And now I feel like we're coming out of that and going into the next phase. But did you go through that as well when you?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. We were, trying to figure out, all right, who do we got to get trained? How does, the Vigilon product, integrate with the radio? We actually did one of the first radio alerts here.
Oh, really?
Indicator. Yeah. At least for us, I don't.
Oh, that's right.
But we
you're
actually
right.
had the old,
the radio alert.
The actual radio alert with the Vigilon server.
Yes.
I still have it. It's downtown at a customer location.
Uh-huh.
It's not used very much, but it's there with the base station tied in. So that was interesting. It's definitely a learning curve. And then we've seen this big transition. And you can tell me if you've seen this, but a lot of our customers have moved cloud just in the last 2 years. We, being in Central Illinois, not in a big city, right? We're not small town, medium sized metro area, but we've seen the take rate of cloud just explode.
Yeah,
and now we're seeing the Alta platform, the cloud based Vigilon side. That's basically all we're doing. It seems like we have a few on-prem solutions that people still buy, but we're into wireless locking now.
that's huge.
Cloud and wireless locking are the 2 things I never would have thought, even 3 years ago, we would even dive into. But now we have school districts that are, taking their health, life, safety money, their tort money, that are applying that because it actually applies to health, life, and safety. To where we could click a button from our mobile app on the Alta OpenPath app, and we can lock down the whole school. But then you could give your sheriff's department or your public safety agencies, your police departments, they could actually have overrides, right? And then when it comes to AI on your cameras, we have people call us all the time and said, hey, can you check our cameras? Can you search this? Or, and we're actively building safer cities like here in Decatur, where we, with permission of our customers, the police have some sort of access to some of these cameras that are spread around downtown or in town. And now they have this big network that we're helping them build out. Makes you feel good about the process. And, our logo is, our family protecting yours, and we really take that to heart. We got, we all have kids, and
by the way, this is truly a family business. I mean, just walking around today and getting to meet everyone. I mean, just the vibe and the culture that you have here. I mean, I know it's a generational business, but even just the relationships a lot of you have. I mean, you can just feel it in this office.
Third generation owned. Bert Miller took it over from Matt Beck. I think we're going on the 3rd year right now. And I've been helping him a little bit, helping him run the place, and it's been great. We love it. We have a lot of great staff, a lot of great people here that have been around, since Matt started the business with his partner, Doug Barding, back in '98. And actually a lot of these people came from the radio world, from the old other partnerships from the 80s, right? From the early 80s, early 90s that kind of have changed hands over time. So where do you think Motorola is going to head? I know you just acquired another company, right? If there's a solution out there that you think we need, Motorola needs to add to, what do you think that is? Where do you think the next step in the ecosystem is going to be with Motorola?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think that from a call it a hardware standpoint, I think we're pretty whole at this point. You know, we talk about video. I mean, like we just named off all the different video companies that we acquired. I mean, we're pretty good there. You know, same thing with radio communications and all that. I mean, especially with Theatro recently joining the family too, and you know, really covering everything. Not only you know, radio, but broadband. But Theatro is a great example of now we're starting to move more into the analytics space, right? Starting to think a little bit more about what's now the next layer that we put on top outside of the physical devices. So you see a lot of the acquisitions more recently tend to be services, you know, or analytics companies, software, right? AI type things. And what do you do with all the data that you can actually accumulate? That's really, and how do you change that experience of data, you know, for your end user? I think the other side that we tend to look at also is vertical specific solutions too, right? Because, you know, when we talk about an ecosystem generically, it's, I mean, I think you guys see it a lot too. It's, you know, it's great. The technology can do whatever it does, but how a school uses a lockdown versus a hospital using a lockdown, for example, it's very different, you know, what the use case is. And so there are a lot of solutions out there that are very vertical specific that I think as we think about now, okay, fine-tuning our strategy, I think those are some of the areas that we're focusing on.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Sharon, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else you want to talk about with Motorola before we get out of here today?
No, other than just we really appreciate your partnership. And I mean, Beck Tech has been one of the earliest, like you talk about Radio Alert, you're one of the first Radio Alert partners. But even Orchestrate. I remember in the early days when I was looking at the list of, okay, what schools do we have or what customers do we have? I mean, you've always been not only with us for the ride, but ahead of it too. And I appreciate so much that, you know, I mean, we have so many things in common and that we can learn from each other. And I think it's been fantastic. And you've been a huge part of our success as well.
Well,
so
we appreciate you. We try to be proactive and be ahead of the curve instead of behind it. But thank you for coming in today,
great.
Sharon.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. We'll have you back here soon.
All right, sounds good.
Eric Smith with Push the Talk. We'll see you next time.